Kawasaki Vulcan 750 fans. You're probably wondering, if I get this bike, if I buy it, what can I do to it? Obviously the Vulcan 750 they don't make anymore, but they've made it consistently for 20 years. Same engine platform, pretty much the same design, everything. Here's what the Vulcan 750 looks like. Now this is the original stock seat. If you've clicked on this video, you're curious, what other kind of seat can I get on it? And if you're also curious, this doesn't look like normal Kawasaki Vulcan 750 handlebars. So those are new. If you watch my previous videos, I've highlighted this before. Now what's nice about this is a stock seat. It's got room for a passenger, although it is a pretty small area, and you have a nice back, so your passenger can at least lay back a bit. You also have a little compartment here. It's not necessarily the biggest compartment, but you at least have room to store a couple things here and there. This is loosely on because I just put it back on for the video purposes. We're going to go over what kind of seats you can put on your Kawasaki Vulcan 750. Now how to take your seat off. There's obviously, cracks in the garage floor. How to take this seat off. It's actually pretty simple. If you need to access your battery for whatever reason, it's going to be right underneath here. But taking off the seat itself is pretty simple. You're going to take off this thing, and this backrest is removable, and the seat pops up pretty easily, so let's go through that. So open up the back area, and if light shows, this bolt here, and then you're going to have two small bolts here to remove it. This bolt here is attached to the frame, and these two bolts are attached to the back seat. If you just need to take the back seat off, all you got to do is remove these two bolts. Otherwise, if you want to disassemble the whole thing, remember this bolt here is very important to remove. And it just comes right off pretty much. Okay, with that being said, this seat can now be removed very easily. And now you have access to your battery if you need it. If you're thinking about putting a single seat on this, there's a couple different options, and we're going to go over three of them. There's going to be the Harley Dyna seat. Okay, it's a single seat. It's a very small seat. I'll go over the pros and cons with that. You also have a Vulcan 900 seat and a Vulcan Kawasaki Meanstreak seat here. That's a 1600. That's the seat I currently use right now. So you guys have seen that before, but we're going to go over how some other seats fit on it. But for now, if you want to take this off, you can. I hand tighten these screws as well. So there's going to be two bolts. There could even be four. Mine only came with two when I bought it, so I had one here and one on the other side. And then this just slides. This just slides. Slides right out, just like that. Anyway, you could fashion something to put your rear turn signals maybe on here if you want to, but otherwise I keep these here because of the helmet lock. This one has two helmet locks, so if I go riding with people and they want to store their helmet somewhere, they can store it on my bike. So let's first go over a few different seat options. From here, you can install any seat you want, so long as it fits. Now, the one thing to notice is that the old seat, if you look on the bottom of it, the only attachments that you have are these two back here that attach to the backrest, and then this little lip here that attaches right underneath to this thing. This is the Harley Dyna seat, and the one thing you want to make sure that this has a lip. So this seat obviously has a lip on it. So seated in, and that's how it looks. It gives you a lower profile here if you can't tell. If you're a shorter person, this seat would actually work well for you. The problem that you'll see here is this here. Now initially how I put this on is that I actually kind of threw a bolt in here, and I put a little nut and a washer at the end of it to hold it in place. It wasn't perfect. The vibrations would actually rattle the nut loose. So I don't recommend this way. This was a very temporary thing that I just tried to do. I found this seat on Craigslist. I think I paid like 50, 60 bucks for it, but that's how that looks. You could, if you were comfortable with yourself, just put it on there and just keep it there. Make sure it's underneath the lip on the front end, and then you could try to just leave it there. But I like my seats secure, so I don't recommend this seat. I tried it. It was comfortable, but I was a little bit seated more forward. So when I was riding, I was actually kind of in a weird angle. So I'll show you here. I was seated a little bit closer to the handlebars, but on long rides, I would actually get low back pain because my height, which is like 5'7", 5'8", this was a little bit too close. But if you were a shorter person, you could probably fit, the seat configuration could probably fit pretty well. So removing that. Now the Vulcan 900. The Vulcan 900 obviously is a little bit bigger than the 750 itself. It's got this little lip here. With the Vulcan 900, it's obviously meant to be a little bit wider. As you can see, a lot of it sticks out the side here. I don't necessarily recommend this seat. I bought this and I fit it. It barely fit underneath the lip, and you can see it sticks up pretty far up here. If you seat it down, it's okay, but you see it kind of sticks pretty far back, and you can't put the sissy bar back on it if you wanted to. I don't necessarily recommend this because, as you see, it just kind of falls right off right away. I bought this on eBay. I gave it a shot. Didn't really fit, didn't really suit my needs because I think this is a little bit wider than what the Vulcan 750 can accommodate. You could potentially try to fashion this down if you stick it in there far enough. As you can see, it can seat in there. And maybe if you zip tie it or strap it down here, you could potentially fashion the seat so it doesn't move anywhere. But unless that's done, you can kind of see I'm sitting up a little bit higher, but I do feel I am a little bit close to the handlebars, just like with that Harley seat. You could try to make this work, otherwise, you know, that's how it looks. I think it's a little bit too wide. Now for the seat I used, shooting on the forums and a lot of different websites, I found that the Kawasaki 1600, the Meanstreak, is the best seat. Which is weird because the 1600 is the 1600 is twice the size of this, the 750. But it's got the best seat that I think that the 750 can accommodate. So, with that being said, it's got the lip on it, and it also comes with these two brackets. Some tips with this seat. Like I said, so long as you have this front lip, you should be good. However, it came with these brackets on the side that you can screw into the side of the frame. I don't know exactly where these would fit on the Meanstreak itself. I don't own it, nor have I ever looked at one up close. But it came with these brackets on it. Now what I did was, these came in, flipped around the other way. So this L bracket was kind of turned around the other way, so this was more further out. The 1600 Meanstreak is a wider bike, so it would make sense. But if I sat this seat on it with these brackets reversed the other way like how it came, they would stick pretty far out and there was no way for me to drill into the frame. So what I did was I unscrewed this completely, and as you can see, you can kind of see here that I Dremel tooled a little bit of the plastic piece off to accommodate the flipping on the other side, because obviously I wish I took a picture beforehand of how I did it, but there was like kind of like this plastic channel that was sticking out a little bit here, so I couldn't really just flip it, so I had to like Dremel sand it down to get it flat so I could fit this flush in there, and I did this to the other side. Where did I fit it in? What I did was, I'm just going to show you how it looks before, is you have the frame right here, and I screwed in two self-tapping screws, one on this side here, you can see the hole, and then another one right here on this side. These are what the screws themselves look like. They have kind of like a self-tapping head, so that you don't need to pre-drill in. I did a little bit just to get kind of like a pilot hole going, and then when I actually took the self-tapping screw in, I just went the rest of the way. And these screws are designed to do that. They're obviously self-drilling, self-tapping, so they tap in a bit. But this is a pretty sturdy place to screw these in. When the seat itself is on, it is set. It doesn't move, it doesn't kind of wobble or anything like that. So this is a good place for you to do it. So I'm going to show you how it fits on. Pretty sturdy. I never feel it move or anything when I'm riding. I never feel it shift. It's a pretty comfortable seat, pretty comfortable seating position. I think it's perfect. It's a nice firm material, and I'm sitting pretty far back, as you can see, from the tank and the handlebars. And with these low-rise handlebars, I'm leaning forward a little bit and actually pretty comfortable. So there you go. Those are your options in terms of what seating options you have. There's honestly not much. I scoured a lot of forums. I looked at a lot of seats. Obviously, I bought quite a few, trying different things out, and the Kawasaki Meanstreak 1600 seat is the best fit for it. If you're fine with the stock seat isn't bad. It's a good, it's comfortable seat. It's got a nice little groove so that you can kind of sit back on it. But if you want something a little bit more comfortable, even a little bit more low profile, and you don't mind this, but there is an option for this, which I use sometimes if I am carrying a passenger, which isn't that often. You can install another back pad. This is just a regular one that I just found on eBay. Not exactly for sure what the dimensions are. It looks like it's about like 9-10 inches by 5 or whatever. Anyone would do really, but just make sure that it has wood on the back. So basically what I did was you seat it on there just like that. And what I did is I made a little bit, I made 2 pilot holes here, and then I took the original bolts that came on the original back seat. So seat it on there pretty good. So if you take a passenger with you pretty often, as long as you get those 2 screws, those 2 bolts in here, you still have a backrest for your passenger, and you could remove that on a whim if you just don't like the way it looks. But if you take a second passenger with you, this seat is a little bit wider, just a little bit wider than the original stock seat, so it may be a little bit more comfortable. And so long as you ratchet this down, they at least have a back pad to rest their back on if you're going on a longer ride. But that's kind of how that looks. I'm not a fan of the high back end. That's why 95% of the time I don't ride with that on unless I have a passenger with me, which, like I said, isn't even that often anyway. Otherwise, this is how the seat fits. Like I said, the Kawasaki Meanstreak 1600 seat is the best seat you could find. I found this on Craigslist. I paid $90 for it. You can get lucky, maybe find it on eBay or scour Craigslist as well. You could order it off of like a parts catalog. Not for sure how much that would cost, but it's a very comfortable seat. Fits very well with the bike, as you can see. Looks natural almost. You can remove these. It's just these 2 bolts here just get removed. However, the turn signals, you may need to find another place for them. Maybe if you buy kind of like a short back end kit, you can fashion something there, but otherwise you don't necessarily need these things if you don't like the way this looks. However, you got to find a place to put these turn signals. If you like this video, like it, subscribe. I may have some more content. Maybe I'll do some more stuff with it. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Keep it between the ditches.